All right, well, I'm going to be giving an introduction to Logos 8, and here it is. I just booted it up, and I'm a huge fan of Logos, although I guess they've changed the pronunciation to Logos over the last couple of years, but I haven't bought in, I haven't conformed. So I want to give a brief introduction, and here's just the standard layout. I have made a couple modifications. You'll notice that if you have Logos 8, you're not going to have these shortcuts up here because I've added those. And so just as far as a brief introduction, when you open yours up, it'll probably launch to the home page too, which is over here. I never go to the home page. There's never anything I use there. But I'll talk about that in a second. The only other thing is that this symbol right here tells you what updates have done. Notice it's telling me that it was just updated to 8.10 SR2, and then it gives release notes if I'm interested, and it'll open up the Logos, but I'm not going to go to that right now. Instead, I'm going to clear that so there's no more. And the first thing I want to actually show us is the Logos website, because if you're a new user of Logos, if you have purchased it through the school, you now are the proud owner of the academic package, you're going to really want to be familiar with the sources that Logos has to offer. And the first thing I have to tell you, because this, if you don't know about this, you may not make it into the kingdom, that's the free book of the month on the Logos website. And this is gold. I am such a big fan of them doing this. In fact, I was made aware that since they started doing this, their sales actually went up of the series that they've offered, because people have the opportunity to see what a resource is like, and then they buy many that are similar to that. So you'll notice that the free book for the month of January from Logos is the Christian Standard Bible Study Bible, which is great. This is a good resource. You'll notice I picked it up. I did not have it, but I grabbed it. And so it's grayed out. If you have it colored in here, that means that you don't have it, and it'll allow you to add it to your cart. And then you can check out and purchase it for free, which is technically not a purchase, I suppose, but you still have to go through the process of purchasing it, and it's totally worth it. And what they've also started doing over the last year or so is that they also offer two other resources. Now, I'm not a big fan of the audio Bible. I have a couple audio Bibles already, so I didn't need to purchase that, but it is 75% off. If you don't have an audio Bible, you could always add that to cart. Notice that I don't have this, so it is orange and allows me to add it. And then they also have the Apologetics Study Bible, which is a little more expensive. This is basically how they operate the free book of the month. They have the three tiers. They have the free, and then they have the slightly more expensive, and then the slightly more expensive. Now, all three are great deals. That needs to be set up front. There's no better deal than what you can get for Book of the Month for these. And that's intentional, because they want you to get experience with these resources so that you'll buy other ones like that. Now, a lot of times they'll offer commentaries for the free Book of the Month. Now, that's one thing that the package that Shepherds gives you is lacking in, is commentaries. But that's okay, because you can build them up over time, and they'll offer good Black Friday or Cyber Monday deals, and you'll also be able to get the free book of the month as they come. And over time, I've probably accumulated 20 to 30 commentaries by the free book of the month. So I'll pick up a free commentary, and then often, if they offer other commentaries in that series for these additional pricing, I'll buy them, because a commentary for $5 is a very good deal. And especially having the capability to search it on Logos, which we'll talk about through the series, is important. So keep this in mind. Be checking this out every month. In fact, it's one of the first things I do on the first of every month is I check out what the free book of the month is like. The second thing you want to be aware of on the Logos website is the how-to section. Now, this is going to be helpful, because you will no doubt have questions that I do not answer in this brief series on Logos introduction. And so here you have a brief layout of what you can do. And notice that if you say you want to have an idea of doing a paper or writing a passage or anything like this, you're able to work through these issues on how to study, etc. And you can see the snapshot here. Now, one of the other things that you may want to be aware of is the FAQ, the frequently asked questions. That's good. The Logos website is very well done, and it's helpful in discerning some of these various things that you want to be doing. Now, the one thing that I like even more than the regular Logos website, however, is the wiki website. So it's actually just wiki.logos.com, and they have basically a user-constructed help system to show you how to do things. And some of my favorite sections are the search help section, right down here, the search help section. And if you search this on Google, you would come up with this as well. So you don't need to remember all of this. If you just ran a simple Google search, which I often do, how to search for a Greek verb in Logos or something like that, then it will direct you usually to the Logos wiki or other blog posts that have dealt with that. So you'll notice now that we're in this database of the wiki Logos. It gives you information on making a reference, using markers of addition, subtraction. All this is helpful, and it makes more sense as you get into the swing of things. You probably won't understand this now if you haven't gone through it yet. We will do a video on searches, so it'll start to make more sense, but this gives you the syntax to use in those searches. And then also the detailed search help here on the top right is also helpful. That gives you more insight, gives you some screenshots, which is helpful. And so that's, I think, a really helpful insight into how to run searches, use wildcards. Again, this is all going to make more sense as we go through, but I just wanted to introduce these resources to you so that you would be able to benefit from that. I also believe, if I remember correctly, that Logos does have a YouTube channel, or if you just search for videos on YouTube, how to do things, it should come up on their channel, I believe, if I remember correctly. Or other people probably have made similar videos, but this should be helpful either way. All right, I want to bring us back briefly to this, just because I want to continue to introduce you to what's going on. I already told, I'll go to home right now, just because I want to show you kind of what it looks like. This is probably how your Logos will by default open. Now, I believe mine's actually customized because I got rid of a lot of things, because there's all sorts of things that show up when you launch your Logos, but I took a lot off because it just really slows things down, and I'm not a big fan of using this anyway. But the library tab is a really important tab. You can also, it opens up generically as just a little window here, but you can make it its own window. And I'll do it this way so that you can open up. Notice a lot of these commentaries I've picked up through sales, Black Friday sales, and also through the free book of the month. So that's how I've accumulated my commentaries. And you'll also, before I forget to mention, you'll also want to register your student account with Logos so that you get your 30% off whenever you buy resources through them. So that's helpful. Now, that doesn't apply to resources that are already deeply discounted. But if you're buying something that's not on clearance or sale, you'll still get 30% off with your student account. So make sure you link those together. All right, so this is the library, and you have it organized different ways. We'll talk more about that in the future. You have layouts here, and you'll notice I have a couple custom layouts. We'll talk about that in the future. These single class reading, Greek class, study layout, I have those because I used Logos in class a lot. This is a button to close all the windows you have open, which I don't have any open right now, so that's worthless to me, but it will come in handy when you have to close it. And then here, for our purposes, are the program settings. And the reason I want to deal with this in the introductory video is because this is kind of annoying at first. at least to me. So I'm going to tell you what I have for settings because I think it's helpful, and you can either copy them. You can do whatever you want technically, but I'm just going to make some suggestions because of annoyance on my part. Whenever I would open Logos in class, and you would have the sounds of the heavens opening and things like that, it's just annoying. So anyway, the first thing is at startup open 2, I have it saved as most recent layout any. Now local is talking about on that computer, but this is since you can install Logos on multiple computers, if you have multiple computers, this would take whatever layout I most recently was using and would allow me to have that. So that's what I have it set up as. That way it doesn't go to the home, it just goes to whatever resources I had open. I have also checking the spelling while I'm going through, and for copying citations, automatically if I copy paste something, it'll cite it as Turabian. You can obviously make major changes there. SBL is also a common one. So it'll copy it in Turabian, and it'll copy over the copied citations, the footnotes, and then it'll preserve the hyperlinks in general. So those I have saved, and I think those are helpful to have saved for your copying over into papers, etc. And then you can play with it and adjust it to remove the hyperlinks if you need to. Now the other thing that I take off are the sounds and alerts, and then the bookmarks, because those are just really what ends up happening too is not only are they annoying, but they also slow things down. Logos runs much more smoothly if you can take off some of these extra phenomenon, if you will, and so it preserves your CPU space for other searches and resources, so you're not always having to deal with all of those things loaded. Now, the showing information tooltips, you can remove that, but what that is if you, for example, I'll just open the Hebrew text here. If you mouse over a word here, you'll notice on the bottom right of my screen, just above my information bar at the bottom of the Logos window, you'll see some information there. And that's what that does. If I take this off, you'll notice it no longer shows up. And so that can be handy if you're reading along and you can't remember what word it is. Well, you can just mouse over and it'll show you that. Now, if you're reading along and you don't want to, for example, first year Hebrew students, you might want to take this off because you don't want to be trying to read and then have the information show you what word it is. You're supposed to try to figure that out. So I have that on just as a reference. If I'm reading a text that I'm not familiar with, I can just mouse over and it'll help me give me information on the word and then how it's used and whatnot. So then the other ones, the notification bar, that's up here, I believe. And so it tells you what's going on in your Logos, when it's been updated, what resources have been added. And then everything else I have off because those are just, in my humble opinion, not worth having on. So if you want to just pause the video and make the adjustments on your Logos, that's totally fine. Otherwise, going down here, you can make any kind of selections here you want with fonts and how you want it to be displayed. Obviously, I think it's beneficial to use the internet, and I have automatic downloads on because whenever I get a resource, I want it added to Logos as soon as it can. And the other resource here that I think is worth noting, I'm going to open up the ESV just a second to illustrate this. And the other resource here is I lost my place here. It is the text show selection menu text. So this is a tricky one. This is a new addition, or it updated when Logos 8 came out. When you have this on, the show selection menu, and you select something, this menu pops up saying, what do you want to do? Do you want to highlight it? Do you want to copy it? Do you want to do these things? that can be helpful if you like that. I don't like that because often in class, what I'm doing is I say, well, look at this phrase here. And what I want you to notice, and after I do that, all of a sudden there's a pop-up and I don't like that. So I prefer to have this off so that when I select a text, nothing happens. And then if I want to do something, I can just right click and decide what I want to do with all of this. You can have it on or off. I prefer it off because I don't like Logos telling me what to do, and I don't like it blocking my highlighted text. So anyway, I hope this helps you set up Logos and start to enjoy it. We'll be going in the future videos, Lord willing, through some of the specific power of Logos. This is just a brief introduction, things to be aware of, and I hope it's helpful to you.